Hello everyone, Maurice here, and today I'm bringing you another Axie Infinity Origins meta report for Season 10. Now is the early epic era. Just the gist of it is that there are quite a lot of different archetypes, but of course there's some that are stronger than others, so we'll go through those. Before that, let's just get into the player base statistics. So you can see first of all is there are more, or close to, 1,000 K, yeah, 1,000, no, 100K, yes, 100,000 players in Axie Origins for Season 10 already, and probably by the time the video comes out, it's already exceeded that point. And you can see the three peaks distribution. I think that's quite interesting, right? Is that there are a bunch of players who just played for a game or two just to try out the game, never progress much. Not a bunch of players progress quite maybe a slight bit, maybe like play every day for the past like 2 weeks or so, right? And then climb up quite a bit. So that's more play. I would say I'll call it play to rise. Players, and then of course there are those that actually play quite a bit to climb to Tiger and above. Of course, Tiger is the tough one. Like once you get to Tiger, it's a bit harder to climb. But yeah, so those are, I would say, are the three different types of players in XC Origins at this point. Okay, then let's just get into the archetype usage. So first thing first is that it is a bit bigger than usual. It's because I've tried to include more different um, archetypes, because before I actually just picked like the top 20 like most popular ones, just so that I can fit everything. But at some point I feel like especially for this time, there are some that I actually don't want to kind of omit, in the sense that for example Clover would be the best example here, where Clover is actually found at close to the top, right? But of course, like if I have to cut down, then it might not make the cut in terms of popularity, because they're not very popular, but they can be quite strong. So that's why now I might as well just kind of try to include all possible, at least like ones that I can define within the top, let's say in this case about top 2000-ish, or yeah, around there, those players. Anyway, of course, the colors might be a bit hard to see, just because I try my best to use different colors, but it's just too many different archetypes. This actually shows actually the diversity of different strategies available in Origins, and I can understand why it's so hard to balance. It's because there's so many different strategies. Okay, but in any case, so you can see Free Argo still like the best one, like the most popular at the top as well. It's just yeah, very strong, even though Master Frenzy has been nerfed quite a while already, but now people just use the energy drink. That's kind of the same thing, really. Yeah, and then Poison Feather still around. So actually, I hope to see that those three archetypes get toned down a bit so that you see other things. But anyway, so those are still the most popular, and then of course there's Turnip. Okay, then if we move on a bit, there's a bit of a, still see Jinx quite a bit, and then of course there's a bit of Sustain. Yeah, not reading too well, but yeah, some pure damage. Not gonna call it Story Fighter anymore. I'm trying to move away from like using runes to define archetypes, but just focusing on the cards, but like pure damage basically, and then a bit of Triple R, Clover as well, and then a multiple archetype. This is where like it's the Topaz Turnip team, and I'm actually in the progress of redefining the archetypes so that I will try to eliminate as much of the so-called others and multiple archetypes as much as possible. Okay, yeah, then if it goes down, of course, in Challenger, you actually see so many different archetypes being viable, but still the main four are Fury Aggro, Poison, Feather, and Jinx. All right, Turnip still not the most popular, like, at the bottom, is because like the Axes are not there yet, but like you can see still a lot of people starting to play Turnip as well. So yeah, so that's basically the archetype usage. And in terms of archetype matchup, one thing I forgot to mention is that I do feel like AXP helps quite a bit in terms of the diversities, because if you have a high level XE with an archetype that's not so competitive compared to if you compete with like low level XEs that are maybe like very strong archetype, there's still a chance, right? In that sense, like because of the level difference, then it gives some lower level, or not lower level, I would say it's the less competitive archetype a chance to beat the better, sort of stronger archetypes with like lower level axes, basically. So in that sense, that kind of contributed to this, I feel like, in terms of diversities. And then the other thing I would say is the metamorph. Metamorph definitely is fun. And it speeds up the meta in that sense, and allow a lot more experimentation with different archetypes, but also within an archetype, how you can use a particular card in this archetype that has been used, that kind of thing. So yeah, you don't have to breed the axes anymore. You can just metamorph, right? So in that sense, it also helps with achieving like a meta where maybe a not so popular or not so strong archetype, if you have the perfect axes with perfect cards from Metamorph, then it might be able to compete with archetypes with not so perfect, cards basically. So yeah, so those are the, I would say, two main factors that actually makes it more fun, I would say. Okay, and then here is the win rates, the data, and to be honest, kind of tells the same story. Fear, Aggro, Poison, Feather, Turnips are at the top. Jinx, yeah, not doing too well at the very top, but still quite good at like top 100. And then you do see a sustain actually, and pure damage is doing okay, not the best. And then like triple out, Clover actually doing quite okay. But of course, to be honest, all these right are mostly just like a few players, or maybe just one team, right, playing Clover at like top 100 level. So in that sense, it's very specific and also be piloted by the pros basically. Because I mean personally, I'm actually playing a Clover team as well now. I'm trying it out, and I'm not finding as much successes because I'm not I'm still haven't learned how to play it yet, right? So in that sense, it's actually skill is very important. Even like especially now with Metamorph, you can get whatever cards you want. Now it's more about the skill of how to pilot the team. Okay, all right, and then let's look at the big matchup table. Then you can see, yeah, it's I would say quite healthy. At least the top, well, most of the archetypes they do have some weaknesses. Let's say Fear Aggro, weakness is obviously like a Feather. So Poison weakness, Fear Aggro, Feather. The weakness is Poison, and so on, right? So there's different ones. I would say Jinx is probably the one that doesn't really have as much, of the weakness. Poison is probably the only one because yeah, once poison is there, then the damage, it will do increment, like the damage is kind of done. Yeah, whereas, yeah, I would say there are some, let's say, sustain, are more polarizing. So that's why sustain is always very polarizing with like some unwinnable matchup and some that are just like pretty much like auto win kind of thing. So not for everyone, I would say. And of course, sustain tends to be longer matches. Yeah, and spikes, I think I mentioned as well. It's a problem with that. Yeah, really dependent on how the opponent plays to hit your spikes. Anyway, so just check out the table to see about the data of your particular archetype that you're interested in, and also do note that this is for everyone at 1700 victory star plus, meaning it's probably about like top 2000-ish or more, right? If you want specific data, then I would suggest definitely check out the blog post for more specific data for each of the brackets, victory star bracket. I only included the stats for when there's matchup more than 10 matches, right? So, yeah, that's why it's quite sparse in that sense because I don't want to include data that's only like a few matches. So at least 10 matches, then I'll include the data. Of course, you can also check out data for, let's say, what time of the day players tend to play whatever strategy or archetype. Of course, only at the top that is more kind of relevant. The once you get to lower challenger, it's pretty even just because there's so many different players anyway. Okay, I think that's basically it for this report. So yeah, okay, I'll see you in the next report.